installation art today at 12:30 p.m. Wait, I have to get Christina's voice better. Hello, Christina. I have a twin sister who's an actor. She would be doing much better. And she did ask me to keep her dress down, so please let me know.
Of course, we don't want the public to
Isn't
be
this
decent.
awesome?
I know, let's just like her.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Installation Art. Today at 12:30 p.m., I, Christina Arnold, along with 12 other department heads of Potter College of Arts and Letters, walked into a meeting with WKU President Dr. Tim Caboni to discuss our deep concerns with the current leadership guiding WKU. As the campus is in a bit of crisis at the moment and the president's schedules are busy with no wiggle room, the overlap of this meeting with our class could unfortunately not be helped. As you, our WKU students, are allegedly the main reason campus even exists, the last thing I wanted to do was to leave you stranded without any vital learning for the day. So we're going to do some vital learning. I had to be in this meeting and I had to be in class. Confronted with this challenge to both space and time, I was forced to devise a method by which I could actually be in both places at once. Thankfully, I was able to channel a portion of myself into the spirit puppet, piloted by my dear friend and colleague, Professor Yvonne Petkus. Thank you, Yvonne. You're very welcome, Christina. We have talked in this class about art both imitating and challenging ideas of truth and reality. Is it a toilet or a priceless piece of art, for example? We have talked about the roots of installation art as a practice, including surrealism and Dada, performance, and happenings. And keep that idea of happenings in your mind for today. It comes up again later. This entire project, in which I now find myself, not surprisingly, has encouraged me to further examine these ideas, particularly of truth, performance, and the surreal. And of course, to think about ideas of puppets. If I could wink, I would, but I don't have eyeballs. Come on in. I'm Christina. Hello, friends. Sorry, I'm late. I would wink at you too, but I don't have eyelids. And even in Christina in body, she is a terrible winker. As I diverge here for a moment to discuss thoughts about performance, I know you are shocked at the brief change in direction, as I'm usually so perfectly linear in all my thoughts and delivery. Consider it a prelude introduction to ideas that might inform your final project, Project 5, which will be entitled On Body. In class, we've talked about things like gender, sexuality, and even sculpture versus architecture, existence on a continuum. Where we choose to place ourselves on this continuum and how we choose to present ourselves every day can be considered a performance. Said differently, identity is not fixed or given, it is created, curated, and performed. As a corollary, the idea of self, who we are, is not fixed. Is it possible to switch back and forth between different ideas or versions of ourselves? You think so? Now I remember. Is it possible even that our self might exist somewhere outside of our physical body constraints? She wrote that. Okay, I have to find where I am. Look at me, for example. Are I not in some way Christina talking to you? And at the core, really, isn't this why we make art?
At the core, isn't this why we make art? To project some part of ourselves outside of ourselves for others to see, interact with, appreciate, or not? Further, is it possible that multiple versions of ourselves exist within us at all times, and we perform the one that is the most fitting for a needed role? Think of your Thanksgiving with the family self versus your Thursday night with the friends self, or the fourth floor of FAC versus other places on campus selves. How do you indicate that change? Is it costume, attitude, state of mind?
Oops, I'm sorry. There's a back to this. Okay, I only read 2 pages, there's 4. Okay. This navigation of performance self is something common to the experience of being human, or SOC. I've talked with you some about my own shifting role as I've transitioned from student to brand new teacher to LOL experienced teacher, and now in my brief stint so far as department head. I find myself moving along the continuum of fighting the man toward being the man. Eeks! As a class, we've also talked a bunch about what it means to be an artist, and that outside the fourth and first floors of FAC, that often folks don't really understand what artist means. We've talked about the fact that this lack of understanding is for us as artists both a challenge and an opportunity. I propose to you that artists are like shamans, and that the two, artists-shamans, are even often considered in a similar way. Those with whom we interact are intrigued, slightly fearful, and sometimes dismissive of our abilities. We operate in a world of ideas and the unknown, and we are comfortable there. It is our chosen space. We make the unseen seen. We channel ideas into reality and into action. We make things that others can use as a channel for their own emotions, providing an experience that allows them to expand their own understanding. We move beyond what is to what is possible. We are powerful. In this world that sometimes has no box of understanding in which to place us, I've talked about working as artist ambassadors, as people express annoyance at fuzzy things in their way, or tampons or Barbies in their bathrooms. Anyone seen Twitter? How might we use these opportunities as a way to encourage our fellow WKU inhabitants to think differently about their space, about expectations and norms, about what is and about what can be, and about what can be better. Sometimes you have to interrupt the regularly scheduled program to allow for someone to hear you. Sometimes you have to take on the role of interpreter. So, returning to the class at hand today, for your prior project, we have been talking about not architecture. Your assignment was to create a piece that was based upon and intrinsically bound to an architectural form. But was itself not architecture? It's a slippery subject, and you, brilliant class that you are, developed the idea of pretend architecture as a potential methodology for understanding your own work. I'm wondering if that construct can be overlaid upon class for today, providing us with an alternative framework in which to operate. While this project is about not landscape, I'd like you to be thinking of it using the possibly surreal, possibly absurdist parallel model we all currently find ourselves operating within. Think of it like an RPG role-playing game. I think we call it not administration. For example, in standard administration, a school has agreed upon organizational practices that allow for the effective education of students. The abbreviated organizational chart goes dean, department heads, teachers, class. And our parallel existences right now, me in the president's office and you all here in FAC 454, we are experiencing the same kinds of altered administration, or you might say pretend administration, in the same way our dean, what's that?
Yes,
that's wonderful.
I can't see any of you.
Well, yeah, it's just Christine.
Or you might even say, with a nod to Rosalind Krauss, not administration. In the same way, our dean was removed, forcing the 13 PCAL department heads to collectively absorb and perform his role, so I have now disappeared, forcing you, installation Art 373, to collectively perform my role. This is your meta challenge for today. Use the performance art RPG paradigm, not administration, to perform today's class on not landscape. What does that mean? Within the collective performance that we call society and the individual performance of self, I present to you that it follows that every class is a performance. Usually we operate by standard, accepted, understood rules and norms. The teacher, me, imparts wisdom, and the class, you, write down every pearl of wisdom I utter and commit it to memory. Okay, but really, Even though our class is based on the principles of group learning and discussion, it more or less follows the script we've been all enacting since kindergarten. Today, your challenge is to perform class differently. You, collectively, will be starring in all the roles of teacher and students, simultaneously acting in the roles of me and of all you all. What does that mean? For real. In class today, do the things we had planned. Each of you present your preliminary thoughts on Project 4, Not Landscape, to everyone else. They should be PowerPoint ready. Show each other your sketches and workshop your ideas. Give each other the generous amounts of time and attention and support you always provide each other. Figure out how to coordinate and navigate this performance, this process, for optimum benefit for all. Poor Sutton. Where's Sutton?
Oh, yeah?
Poor Sutton. Sutton, you will have to keep coming to class so that we can finally critique your work. Sorry, dude. And hopefully, while your performance are happening, and that happening is this class, is occurring in real space and time, my meeting across campus will conclude, and our two realities will again realign and merge back into one. If they do not, this is what I need from you by the end of class. That would be 3:25 p.m. today. Number 1, upload your presentation PowerPoints to Blackboard. Number 2, for each of you, I need a clear idea, all in caps, of where your project will go and what it will be, what it will look like, what it will be made out of. I need an additional note of explanation if anything you are going to do will pierce the ground in any way. Remember, if you think campus is crazy now, if you bring down the internet, all bets are off. Okay, so now some concluding and overarching thoughts. Let's make a quick channel change back to the physical me again, not the puppet me, but the one that is currently in the president's office. And hello, we are egotistical creatures, aren't we? I've been thinking about what it means to have an artist perform new roles. Can we approach things differently? Can we provide new ways of seeing things? Can we make the previously inconceived possible and introduce a third opposite? And I've been thinking, as you all graduate and disperse into the world, how can you take the artist self and shaman self into the world with you, regardless of your job? Regardless of what you find in your day-to-day, how will you use a little of what the artist magic every day to make what you imagine possible?
That's a really important question, so I'll repeat it. How will you use a little of that artist magic every day to make what you imagine possible? And how might we all hide away a twinkling of our puppet selves? Even when we have to operate effectively in the president's office. And channeling your artist magic and your artist self every day to make what you imagine possible, that is your real challenge. And you know what? You can do it. That's exactly what you are learning how to do here. Thank you.